just demolished the Texans.
They beat
Tua didn't play the second half.
They benched their starting quarterback and won by 15.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to This Week in Sports presented by the Washed Athlete Podcast. If you're new around here, we are the Washed Athlete Podcast. We're a group of 5 college guys. There's only 2 of us on today. Raj is doing something else right now, and our couple guys have been off for the semester. So we're a bunch of college guys pretty much just talking about life and stuff on our mainline pod, and over here we talk about sports because it's a big passion of ours. So if you like what you see, drop a like, subscribe, do all the things, and check out our other episodes. But the World Cup is here right now, which, it comes every 4 years, so, the World Cup was not here the last time we had a podcast. In fact, this is the first time we've ever talked about soccer on the pod, because who cares about the MLS? So
it's irrelevant.
We're going to talk about the World Cup for a little bit. We're not really going to get into game specifics in terms of other countries besides the United States. So if you're
we don't really know.
Since we don't know what we're talking about. So if you're I came here for in-depth Germany versus Spain analysis or Germany versus Japan analysis, go to a different
we just
place.
Don't know enough. We could talk the funny parts, and we can talk about the United States. That's about it. So,
and I know a lot about soccer, but not a lot about soccer players.
Exactly.
So, but I just wanted to talk about first the experience of watching the World Cup, because it's been really fun this year. And I think 4 years ago we were 16 years old, so we were even a little bit younger. And then the United States wasn't in the World Cup notoriously 4 years ago. So the last time the U.S. was in the World Cup men's team was when we were 12. Yeah. So it's been a very in 12 you don't remember much. So it's been a very weird experience watching it now, because I viewed all the intricacies and I have a really big rooting interest now.
Exactly, yeah. And it's been really cool. Well, obviously there's been an ungodly amount of memes of people that are I'm supporting the US so hard. Meanwhile, I've never watched a day of soccer in my life. And it is nice to see that there is a lot of passion for the sport, even though I would say probably 70% of Americans have no idea what's going on.
No idea.
Just zero clue. But I mean, hey, Captain America, Christian Pulisic, put his body and his future kids on the line. Got it in, so we're out of the knockout rounds.
Yeah. I think there's been a lot of and this kind of going into the United States, is that there's been a lot of talk about how the United States barely survived the rounds. And I'm not sure people quite understand that we don't put the ball away in the net much. We don't score a lot, but we've let up 1 goal the entire World Cup, and it was on a PK. Yeah. So, people aren't giving, the United States...
There's great defense.
Big soccer people in the United States are well, they're lucky to have gotten out of that and whatnot. I'm listen, we didn't make the World Cup in 2016. Yeah. We're in the World Cup now. Now we're into the group stage, and, we've only let up 1 goal in the entire tournament. So I'm I don't know why people are so cynical about the United States' chances, because, I don't think they're going to beat the Netherlands.
No.
If you look at the betting line, it's not in the U.S. favor, but to just sit there and be United States has been disappointing or hasn't played well this tournament just feels a little bit weird to me.
Yeah, and it's also the part that doesn't make sense to me is that it's this is probably our 5th best sport essentially. It's probably it's football, basketball, baseball. I would argue hockey over soccer.
I think so.
We are better at hockey as a country.
I would say so.
Yeah, and it's but then of course,
and if you want to even pick up niche sports like track and field, the United States always wins.
It's very good. Yeah. So it's really hard for me to just look at all these soccer analysts and have them just always say it's well, the United States isn't doing well. It's okay, well, yeah, but let's have England come over and try to play in the NFL, and if we somehow manage to tie them with our best players,
it's 250 million people or something. It's a stupid number. Watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Not one other country has football as a sport.
Exactly.
So it's baffling to me that people care so much about how we do in soccer. I obviously care. I want our team to be good. We're a big country, but there are a lot of other bigger countries. And for example, India has a bigger population than us, and they don't have a soccer team. I don't think in the World Cup this year, and they're not better than the United States. So then I'm so are you saying that we should be good at soccer because we have a big population? Because
that doesn't make sense.
There's other countries China also doesn't have a soccer team.
Yeah.
So I'm both of those countries have more people than the United States, and they don't have a soccer team. So I'm if your argument is that we're a world superpower, we have a ton of people in our country, and we're not good, I'm
it doesn't really make sense.
That logic doesn't hold up.
Yeah, exactly.
And basketball, we're gold medal favorites in the Olympics every single year.
Exactly.
For that. So I'm just it doesn't make much sense to me why people care so much, but I've been enjoying the ride, and
it's been cool. It's been awesome to watch.
And the memes are great.
Memes are
great.
Good.
Memes are great.
Good. Also, Germany getting eliminated is so funny because they're so good. And Belgium also just got eliminated. They were the number 2 country in the world. They didn't even make it on the group stage.
Yeah, it's been a wild World Cup. Just a lot of upsets. Even games there was the Ghana South Korea game,
Yeah,
which
that
like
was a huge
Ghana was
upset.
up. Ghana was up 2-0, and then Korea came back screaming,
Yeah.
like 2 goals in like 5 minutes, levels the game, and then Ghana goes down and scores a 3rd goal, and then that's game.
It's
And then
crazy.
a very similar thing happened in some other games, and just like there's been upsets all over the place, and very like Poland and Mexico, the difference between getting in or getting out was very small. I think it was because Saudi Arabia scored a goal against Mexico in like the last minute. So Mexico still won, but their goal differential or something like.
Yes,
it's been a very dramatic group stage.
The funny part about that is that even if Mexico ended up like scoring another goal, so that way their goal differentials were even, they still wouldn't have made it out because they had more yellow cards.
Yeah.
Like, that is the craziest thing I've ever heard. It's like, oh yeah, no, you won, you did amazing, you did just as good as this other team, but this guy kicked a guy wrong, so now you're not getting in.
And just on the U.S. side of things, the yellow cards situation when the United States has been playing has been absolutely ridiculous. Like, we've gotten yellow cards for things that I don't know why we got yellow cards for, and other players have like shoved, like one day they the guy from Iran like dragged down the U.S. guy by his shirt. And I was like, that's an easy yellow card. They didn't give him a card. I was like, what?
Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
Everyone versus the United States.
Yeah, United States versus the world. Yeah, there we go.
So we got Netherlands, Senegal, England, United States, Argentina, Poland, France, Australia, Japan, Spain, Morocco, and Croatia, Brazil, Switzerland, Portugal, Ghana making it on to the next round. That doesn't probably mean much to us in terms of, again, Belgium out. People were talking about Canada. I think it's funny that like
so funny.
Canada just like doesn't win any games. The whole
they got smoked.
They got their back smoked. Now listen, they were in a tough group. But
they were, but they didn't even tie. They lost every single game.
Yeah, their goal differential was like -5.
Yeah, so funny.
Yeah, it was just like, it's just funny because like again, everyone's like the United States, like they're not world soccer powers. Like our neighbors to the north just got smoked.
Yeah, they got their ass kicked
the entire tournament. But that means the United States is going to play Netherlands, which is unfortunately Netherlands is like
pretty good.
I mean, really good. Like people are all like, "Wow, Netherlands actually like might go to the finals
it's like,
this year," and it's like
nice.
It's like nice, thanks. I'm glad we're playing them.
Meanwhile, Pulisic might not play because of his pelvic contusion.
Yeah. I love that they called it a pelvic contusion.
So funny.
I mean, maybe his groin,
it was a
maybe he
contusion.
did pull his groin muscles.
Yeah.
I'm sure his testicles are just swollen.
Exactly. I'm sure it just really hurts a lot.
Yeah, and I wouldn't blame him if he didn't play.
Exactly.
But hopefully he is good to play. And I mean, Argentina is also a fascinating story because like they lost to Saudi Arabia, like outright lost first game, the biggest upset of the entire tournament.
Yeah,
first place in the group.
Yeah,
like just
didn't even matter.
It didn't even matter.
Yeah,
they just they spotted them 3 points, and then they didn't even matter, and they're still winning the group. That's because like Poland pulled a 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss
just
card.
The weirdest. Yeah,
and then Mexico pulled a 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss card, and it went down a point differential. It went to goal differential. Poland had 0 and Mexico had -1.
Yeah,
a game of inches, especially because like I know Poland would have gotten on yellow cards, but like just even on principle, like it was a 2-0 game in the Saudi Arabia game, and they let up a goal. If I was the Saudis, like even though again yellow cards,
still a win.
I still would have been like, hell yeah,
like that's a win. We knocked them out.
Yeah,
like.
Also, their players got like Rolls Royces that were worth $500,000 from the government. I was like, good for you guys.
Yeah, like good for you guys. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. So I guess that's what we're talking about. Saturday's game. I mean, go USA, right?
Go USA.
Oh yeah.
But because like I'm not getting my hopes up at all. But like I feel like that's going to make it more enjoyable because like I'm not going to be stressed during the game. Cause it's like they lose. It's like Netherlands is good.
Yep.
We made it out of the group stage. Who cares? Yep. We tied with England. That's all I care about.
Indeed. And then this has just really piqued my excitement for 2026. Like now I'm watching now the US team's been good. It should be very similar in 4 years because we're the third youngest team in the tournament. So like now I'm like, oh, let's go.
Let's go. Imagine winning it on home soil.
I wanted to go anyway, but now I'm just like, I'm totally like,
oh yeah, you're going to go to
I'm like, I definitely have to go. I'm excited for that. But that was our World Cup talk. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I don't know what my bracket looks like now. I tried to make a bracket. Apparently, the deadline had already passed. I was lied to when it was. But you know what? I was going to bet on Brazil making it. So apparently, I'm right. I have England winning.
If England wins it, I'm going to be so mad.
That would be mad. Also, all the 1776 jokes, so funny.
Oh my god, the TikToks were so funny.
Yeah,
were so funny.
I love it.
So good.
But rounding into American football, We're
The
gonna
superior sport.
Yeah, the superior sport. We're gonna talk about football season, and right now we're at a point where there's really big a delineation between like the playoff teams and the non-playoff teams. Like which teams are eliminated. Like it's always like in the beginning you can kind of be like, oh, like could the Colts like put it together? Could they like put it together and like sneak in a playoff spot? And like the only team like that right now is if the Jags went out.
Yes,
they can still get in. But like besides that, like which teams are good, which teams are not, and that like there's going to be like a few teams in like the NFC and a few teams in the AFC that are on the border, particularly both conferences and both divisions in the East.
Yeah.
There will be like a little bit of fluctuation there, but for the most part, we know like where playoff teams are going to be. But seeding is very much up for grabs. And both the Giants and the Eagles, we've talked about it a lot in the episodes before. Peter's a Giants fan, I'm an Eagles fan, have been doing very well, and the Giants
have been sliding recently, but due to an ungodly amount of injuries. They have, I think, out of their 22 starters, I believe at one point they had 11 starters injured.
That's tough.
Yeah, which was really tough.
Mm-hmm. And you guys played last week?
Played last week against Dallas. It was a much closer game than I was thinking because of how good Dallas looked. And, I mean, this is just like a Daboll masterclass of coaching.
Yeah.
Like, it really shows how it's like he's taking a roster of a wide receiver 4 being the number 1 receiver, and then wide receivers 6 and 7 as the 2 and 3. Like half of the offensive line is injured. They're still putting up 20 points against the Dallas defense, which held Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook to 3 points the week before.
Yeah.
And the Giants defense even holding the Cowboys to 28, even though Dallas does, as much as I hate to say it, they look good.
They look really good. Yeah.
I hate them with all of my heart. They look good because they look balanced for once.
Yeah, I don't even they were when Cooper rushes in, it was like holy cow! Like Dallas without Dak Prescott, like they look really good. And then Dak came back for like 1 or 2 games, and they kind of skidded a little bit. They lost that game to the Packers, and then
but they steamrolled the Vikings.
But then they steamrolled the Vikings, beat the Giants, and I never felt like the Giants were going to win that game.
No, it was always like they were like one step behind.
Yeah.
I felt like it's like they were close, but they just like couldn't get that edge.
So yeah, Dallas does look good, and like right now you're seeing some shifts, and like the Eagles are skidding down, Cowboys are coming up a little bit.
They lost once.
I know. Well, I'm going to talk about that. That's a good segue. So, talking about the Eagles, I've been very frustrated with the Eagles media because the Eagles have not looked good over the last 3 games comparatively to what they looked like in the beginning of the year. The schedule is a little bit harder right now too. And we've also had injuries and just weird stuff going on. Jordan Davis went down, who was our first overall pick. And some people will be like, oh, you're relying on a rookie. Yeah, I am relying on the rookie because
he's like 6'5", 360.
Yeah, and he's like our run stopper. Like, I did rely on. We picked him in the first round of the draft. Like, sorry. Like if you go to other teams that have like rookie receivers that are already playing really well, like as the Packers, how they'd be doing if they didn't have Christian Watson the last couple of games. Like they'd be out of those games. So like, then like very like iffy on the Eagles, but the media for the coverage of the Eagles right now is so bad. They're like, oh, team's falling apart. I'm like, listen, we're gonna get some people back. I was like, we've gone 2-1 in games that we've played bad. Like, I'll take that.
Yeah.
But they do need to start playing well because we'll go into our first like slate of games coming up. Eagles versus Titans. It's a big match. Titans are fighting for a high seed in the AFC at the moment. They'll win their division more likely than not. But they're fighting for a high seed, and they have a very good running back in Derrick Henry, and currently the Eagles' run defense looks awful. Yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see how that game plays out. But that's a big game because the Eagles have a 1-game technical lead over the Vikings, 2 games if you consider the tiebreaker. So you want to keep that distance and not let it slip because I think the Eagles need first-round advantage if they have any chance of making a run.
Exactly.
Especially if you got players like Jordan Davis, and we have an old offensive line. A good offensive line, but
very
an old
good.
Yeah, very good offensive line, but an old offensive line. So I'd appreciate having a ton of rest. And Dallas Goedert needs to come off IR in a little bit and everything. So that is that. So that game will be pretty big. Like if the Titans win, they're going to be, I don't know what their exact record will be, but they'll be a pretty high ranked team. Let me pull up the NFL standings real quick. They'll be, I feel like I want to say like 9-3. I know what losses they have. They will be. Titans will be 8-4. That'll put them in a good position, though they're tied with some other teams. But that'll be a pretty solid record, and they could challenge for like a 2nd seed. And then if the Eagles lose, they suddenly that lead against the Dallas Cowboys and against the Minnesota Vikings shrinks a little bit.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. And then the next game on our schedule to talk about is Jets Vikings because notoriously like the Jets and the Vikings both are in interesting positions. The Jets just coming off of I don't want to even say a quarterback controversy because I don't think it's much
Mike
of a
White is the starter.
Yeah, I don't think it's a controversy anymore.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
He is absolutely the guy there.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like, what do you do with Zach Wilson?
I don't know.
Like, he had 2.8 inches of offense against the Patriots.
Yeah.
Like,
and we didn't get to talk about it last week, and we would have probably, our reactions probably would have been a lot more like vulgar and like reactionary, because of all the things that he's kind of said over the last couple of days. But it's a big game because the Vikings are, as I just mentioned, are trying to chase down the Eagles for the 1 seed.
But they lost to Dallas, which is a huge loss for them.
And now I'm like the Jets, like if there's one guy that Justin Jefferson doesn't match up well against, I would imagine it's Sauce Gardner.
It's the lockdown man.
Yeah.
He is man-to-man coverage, locking down your number one. Yeah. He is like I don't know. I've heard a lot of Jets fans saying he's Darrelle Revis, but taller. So, we will see.
And I even just look at their body types. I'm like, that guy is like, he's not too short.
Yeah.
He's not too, like,
he's like tall.
They literally look like they're like clones of each other just on offense. Like, so, like, I'm very excited to see what that matchup's going to end up. And I can see the Jets winning. I can see the Vikings winning. The Vikings defense has not been good.
Yeah.
So, like, Mike White
could light him
now,
up.
I know last time Mike White played that, he slipped off a little bit at the end. But if Mike White continues to play the way he played, he doesn't even need to continue. He plays half as good as he did that first game. They'll win games.
Anything is better than Zach Wilson.
They'll win games. I mean, that Jets defense is really, really good.
It's really good.
Really good. So, and it sounds crazy to say, they are 1 game behind the Bills, and they have a tiebreaker over them.
That's ridiculous.
So as much as it's like, oh, they're not going to get the Bills are indestructible. Nope, they're not.
They're not indestructible.
Yep. And the Bills, I don't think have won a game in their division this year.
No, I think they're 0-2. Yeah,
and we'll talk about the Thursday night game tonight. It'll be tomorrow when you're seeing this. We'll put this on Friday, so I don't have much on the schedule to talk about here. But Bills Patriots suddenly
that's actually a big game
because if the Patriots win, they're 7-5, and the Bills lose, they're 8-4. So
and
suddenly
the Jets
Patriots
jump them.
Yeah, the Jets are going to jump the Bills for temporary time until the Vikings game. I'm like, this could go downhill for the Bills really quickly.
They could slide horribly.
Yes, and they're going to have to play another game against the Dolphins, and I don't know if they're on the schedule. Yeah, we'll talk about it. They play the 49ers this week. I think they're going to win the game.
They should absolutely beat the 49ers.
I think they should beat the 49ers, and the Dolphins might be one of the top 3 teams in the league.
I think because, remember, at the beginning of the season, they went undefeated for a while, and it was like, oh, the Dolphins are legit. Tua gets hurt. They fall off a cliff.
No one talks about it because
no one talks about it.
Because it was Teddy Bridgewater, and it wasn't even Teddy Bridgewater because he got hurt.
Yeah,
and
it was like, who are the backup ones?
Yeah.
But whatever. But then, slowly but surely, they've come out of the valley and are coming all the way back
and they just demolished the Texans.
They beat
Tua didn't play the second half.
They benched their starting quarterback and won by 15.
So
weren't they up 30-0 in the first half?
Yeah, I just looked at Jalen Waddle and I was just like,
I had the Dolphins defense. They put up 26 points in the first half.
Yeah, Jalen Waddle had like 14 points in the first half and they didn't score the rest of the game because they didn't play him.
They were just like, he's gonna get injured. Just leave him on the sideline. Who cares?
So that Dolphins 49ers game is gonna be great, and that's on the 4:25 game
because that is a big game because the 49ers do have a good defense.
49ers are a really good team as well. So it's just like
so it should be a good matchup, but I do think Miami should win.
Yeah, and I wanted to leave a little bit of time for this. Let's talk about Mike McDaniel. Because that man has become
I love that dude. He's so
I don't know if this was well known about Mike McDaniel before he got this job, but he is like, all of a sudden, with all of these, like, him being mic'd up in these press conferences, he has completely captivated, like, the NFL, like, social media, like, fan base, because I listen to everything that man says. Like,
he's so funny.
He's funny, and he's just, like, relatable.
Exactly. Because he's, like, only, like, what, like, 30 or something?
Yes. Like, I didn't see it coming. I just knew that this guy from under Kyle Shanahan was coming in to coach Tua. And, like, you hear that he made an entire highlight reel of Tua so that Tua could gain his confidence back. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Mike McDaniel's saying that he told someone else to stop running the ball.
Yeah. Like give it to Tua.
What was it? A player came off to the side. Like, they were running the ball. And then Mike McDaniel told the other team's player to, like, stop doing that.
That was Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Justin Fields was running all over them. And he was like, Justin, stop it. Stop doing that.
So they asked him in the press conference, and he said, well, I told him to stop it.
I tried,
and he didn't stop it.
Yeah, he's so funny. Or it was like during the Texans game, there was a mic'd up moment that was so funny, where he was like, because they were up by 30 in the first half. So he's like mic'd up with Tua because he's like calling.
Yeah, and he says the SEC team.
Yeah, he's like, so Georgia's so much better than Alabama, and Tua's an Alabama alumni. So he's just talking so much trash. He's like, Yeah, I'm so glad Tua can't hear me. He's literally just trolling his quarterback while he's on the field.
Yeah. And he goes, Georgia's the best team in the SEC.
Yeah, it's so funny.
And then there's also the clip of him just like Tua comes to the side and he's like, Mike Mick's like, what play do you want to run? And Tua goes, I want to run the play that you think is the best play. Yeah. And then Mike is like, all right, we're going to run left hatch. And then they go in and get a touchdown. And he was like, yeah. So like Mike McDaniel's just become an absolute national treasure. Like I love the guy.
A lot of these young coaches have been doing really, really well. And they've becoming like very likable coaches.
On a coincidence? I think not.
I don't think, because it's like they're like younger coaches that like are really capturing like locker rooms. Like Dable is the most like New York guy there is. Like he's just according to Twitter, he's the best fat man in New York City since Biggie.
Yep.
Like Mike McDaniels, whoever the new head coach of the Vikings is, like clearly turned them around.
Kevin Connolly,
yeah, like he has completely turned them around. Mm-hmm. He's like loved in the locker room. Like
I don't know how old Robert Saleh is, but he's
younger. Yeah,
I mean Robert Saleh got all this crap last year, and suddenly he has a Jets team that doesn't even have a quarterback.
Yeah.
To 7-4, and they're like. His thing is defense, and his defense has been elite this year.
Yeah.
This wasn't even a year for the Jets where I felt like they were in playoff contention. I thought that would have been next year.
Yeah.
So they've really turned it around. So like these young coaches are really shown out. And then you have guys like Nathaniel Hackett, who I don't know how old he is, but just an absolute nightmare. I mean, like the Broncos went from like a team, and I never really believed in the Broncos to like be a Super Bowl threat because I wanted to see it first, but like. Quick note: being 3-8 is off. Like a terrible.
Quick note: 3-8 is bad.
Yeah, like 3-8 is awful. And for a team that has that much talent on it, and like it's small thing, like I don't know, I'm not saying they had to go, but like they said like half the team went to Russell Wilson's birthday party.
Okay, well that I'm not too concerned about that because that was their one day off like the entire season.
I agree, but I still think it's a bad look.
It's a bad look in addition to everything else.
Yes, in addition to everything. Yeah.
So it just tacks it on where it's like, yeah, no one is showing up to that if they don't have to.
Yeah, I know. So what's the other game that we have on here? I know I have another one. Oh, how could we forget? Chiefs Bengals.
That's the rematch. That's going to be a really good game.
Yep, and it has a ton of implications for the standings. The Bengals are currently tied at 7-4 with the Raiders for the lead in the AFC North, and the Chiefs are trying to hold off the Dolphins and the Bills, and then eventually, if they slip a little bit more, some other teams for the number one seed. And it's a rematch from last year. The Bengals are 2-0 against the Chiefs from last year. They beat them in the AFC Championship game, so.
Is Jamar Chase going to be back or no?
I think he should be back. He was questionable last week with it.
So he might be back.
I think he'll play.
That is, and with how well Joe Mixon has looked really, really good. He's supposed to be coming back from the concussion.
Yeah.
Because he had I think he was out last week and then he's going to be in this week, I believe. So they should have a fully stacked offense against a fully stacked offense. So it should be a shootout.
Yeah, it'll be really fun. I'm looking forward to it. And Trent McDuffie has been playing well for the Chiefs, and he's had a little bit of injury in the beginnings of the year, so I'm excited to see how it'll match up against Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
I would just recommend double covering the guy.
Yeah. For the love of God.
Yeah, please just double cover. And Chris Jones has been really good at defensive tackle all year. I'm
yes.
curious to see how he'll get to Joe Burrow because that offensive line is still pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then Commanders Giants is the next game.
Yeah. Actually,
that has
a big game. Yeah,
a ton of implications.
The Commanders are, in fact, decent with Taylor Heineke because Carson Wentz is washed.
Taylor Heineken beer is him.
This is Raj, by the way.
Yeah.
But yes, Taylor Heineke is an absolute dog. He should have been starting from day one.
Taylor Heineke isn't even playing that well.
No,
you look
not.
at his stats.
He's literally not.
He's got a pretty even touchdown to interception ratio.
Yeah, he's not that good.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. That's all they need.
Yeah,
they need mid.
Yeah, I feel like the Giants are going down and the Commanders are going up.
So it's a big game to see if the momentum will swing.
Well, because I think it jumps, right? I think
you guys got a receiver during the mid-season trade deadline.
Well, honestly, at this point, we're just so injured to hell and back that I'm not really at this point. If you told me at the beginning of the season that the Giants were going to be 7-4, I would cry. Genuinely would cry.
If you told me the Eagles were 10-1, I would cry.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is that it's I don't really care because they have proven that they are a good team, and it's at this point, it's it would be great if they made the playoffs, but they have clearly turned this program around to the point where I don't really mind as much if they start to slide towards the end solely because every single starter is injured at all times, no matter what, because of the MetLife turf. But
I say y'all go out and get Jared Wayne. You got the dog in him.
Jared Wayne.
3 touchdowns, 208 yards.
No, we're going to go Jordan Addison, actually.
Oh, I forgot. You guys won't have a low enough draft.
No, he won't. Yeah, but
Jordan Addison to the
The
Panthers.
Texans have more points scored this season than the Broncos do.
The Texans?
if the Broncos scored 18 points, if they averaged 18 points, they would be like 7.
I think it's 9. I think it's 9-2.
9-2 or something like that.
Yeah, 9-2.
And you want to know what Drew Lock's average points per game were?
18.
19.
They were like 18.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, the Broncos are in a bad situation. I can talk about the Broncos and how much of a
Broncos
collapse
country.
Let's
cry.
Did you guys hear about Russell Wilson's birthday?
Yeah, we just talked about
Yeah.
that. That was so bad.
And we're saying, like, in addition to everything else, it
Like,
just is a bad look.
if you took that like out of like if it was just like in a regular season, it's like, oh, they're just busy doing other things. But in addition to every
it's
single
off
thing,
the back of the defensive tackle yelling at him.
screaming his head off at
Yeah.
Russ, and Russ just being like, okay.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so bad.
All the TikTok again, it's the social media reaction. It's like
so
the ride. And
Yeah, the ride. And it's just like someone swerving their
My
car
favorite one
over
was
the
the
freeway.
SpongeBob driving the boat.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. But that concludes our football talk. It'll be an interesting week, and I think this week we just talked about all the big games. A lot will be known after this week about where teams
Yeah,
stand.
this is a big week.
Big week of football. So excited to watch it. But we're gonna talk a little bit about the NBA because
Hockey.
I want to talk about the
We're
MVP
not talking
race.
about hockey?
Shut up.
No, we're not talking about hockey. Good one. We're not talking about esports either.
Yeah.
It's not my League of Legends.
We're gonna talk about the MVP race a little bit. Standings are like whatever at this point. Like I know a lot of people aren't tuning in, but I want to talk about the MVP race because the people considered to be in the MVP race right now are Giannis, Tatum, and Luka. I want to know where the hell Devin Booker's at. Devin Booker, how many points do you think Devin Booker's averaging on the year?
Mid
30.
Rob, how many points do you think Devin Booker's averaging?
27.
He's averaging 29 points this year.
Win.
Right.
Price is right.
How many points do you think Giannis is averaging this year?
Rookie or something?
32.
24.
Or do you know that? Or
No.
I
was like, that was
thought
really-
you had that back
I
up
just want to
too.
load up the rankings.
So I think Giannis is averaging somewhere around like 31 or so points a game.
I know
Yeah.
Luka's averaging 34, 9, and 8.
Yeah, Luka's got his crazy stats, but Luka's team's also 10-10,
Yeah.
and they're the 9 or 10 seed in the West right now, and people are considering him part of the MVP discussion, right? Devin Booker is averaging 29 points per game. They're the 1 seed in the Western Conference. Chris Paul has been injured for the last 6 games, and everyone thought the
Good.
team was going to collapse this year, including myself, who's a Suns fan. Thought they were
Suns
going to
fan.
collapse.
Yeah, he's not a Philly fan.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think.
you're
Yeah,
right.
He's a Boston fan.
And he's also a Cowboys fan.
Anyway, so it's just like it's baffling to me that people don't put. They didn't put Devin Booker in the conversation last year when I think he should have won the award, and they're not putting him in it again this year where he's not the best player on the best team. Tatum should win the MVP award right now, but to not even put him in the discussion, like I think he's over Giannis right now just simply based on the fact that like the Suns are the number 1 seed in the East, and he scored 50 points on 80% shooting yesterday.
Yeah, was he 20 for 25?
Yeah.
That is ridiculous. Like 6 for 7 from 3.
Yeah, it was
It
it was absolutely nuts, and I just like got to bring attention to that because all these people just like Luka's in the conversation. And listen, like Luka, if his team gets up higher, then I 100% agree that Luka's in the conversation for the MVP race. Like he'll probably win it if they can get to like the 3 or 4 seed, but he's at the 8 seed right now, and he's tied with the Warriors, Timberwolves, Trailblazers. So they could easily be like the 11th seed if they lose one more game. And now, granted, they would be the 5th seed. They won 1.5 more games. But right now, where it stands, they're the 8th seed, and I'm just saying 8 seeds don't win MVPs. And 6 seed.
What seed was Utah? Is that what Team Jokic is on? Denver. What seed were they?
Well, they were the 6th seed, but he shouldn't have won the MVP award because they changed the rules on how they vote for MVP for him.
How do they vote for MVPs?
Well, it used to be the best player on the best team or like one of the best teams, and
Then it was just the most valuable.
And then after Russ won it his year when he was a 6th seed, when he should have won it because he had literally no help on
He
that
averaged
roster,
a triple double,
and he had no help on his team at all, and still got him there. And then they were like, "Oh, Jokic has really good advanced stats. He should win it as a 6th seed." And then you guys pack smoke in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Looked like crap,
Yeah,
and now they're playing good this year. And Jokic isn't even doing good, probably because they have Jamal Murray back, who might actually be the real MVP of the team. Just saying. So anyway, side. Luka needs to be above he probably needs to be a top 3 seed to even have a chance to get it because this guy Jason Tatum over in Boston, they have the best record in the league. They're 18-4. They're destroying people. They scored 134 points against the Heat, 140 points against the Hornets, 130 points against the Wizards, 122 points, 125 points. They lost this game. 117, 126, 126, like 131s. Like they are scoring so many points per game.
You're a Celtics fan.
We get it.
And Jason Tatum, do you guys know what he's averaging?
No, we don't care about
Take a guess.
It's 15.
31,
7.
31 points, 8 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and he's playing really good
This
defense.
kid's ugly.
Giannis has better stats.
Oh, you did not just call Deuce ugly. Deuce is the opposite. I think. Deuce is the cutest kid ever.
I just don't like Jason Tatum or the Celtics.
Why
Neither should you as a Sixers fan.
What's your beef with Jason Tatum?
Nothing. He's on the Celtics.
I mean, I don't like the Celtics, but like,
Yes, you do.
no, I don't.
Yes, you do. You are a confirmed Celtics fan.
Since when?
Since the NBA Finals this year.
I rooted for them in the finals.
Yeah, and you admitted you're a Celtics fan. You didn't deny it.
No,
I said you were a Celtics fan, and you said bad. That was your exact quote. That was your exact quote. I can pull up the receipts.
Not a Celtics.
So he ain't gonna like this.
I'm not.
You're not a Philly
I'm
fan?
not-
You're a
no.
Philly fan, admit it.
No.
You just said Jason Tatum's the MVP over Joel Embiid. You said that. You just said
He's
that.
12 and 10.
You said that.
Do you think James
said
Harden
that.
is fat?
Yes or no?
Not anymore.
Oh, so you thought he was fat?
Yeah.
You're not a Philly
Do
fan.
you think Donovan Rivers is coach of the year?
No,
Not a Philly
Definitely
fan.
fan.
I know. I'm sorry. I also don't think Tyrese Maxey's foot's injured. I think he's just quitting on the team.
How
about that?
Simmons 2.0?
What about the Heat? What the hell happened to them?
They're 10 and 12.
Yeah, they're coming back a little bit. The Heat are the worst. Oh, I went on a Heat rant the other day. I don't remember who it was too. The Heat are just the absolute worst. They don't do well in the regular season, or they like scrappily get in the 3 seed. Jimmy Butler does nothing all regular season.
And then
People-
turns on.
and then turns beats in the playoffs respectively. Everyone's like top 10 player in the league. Everyone was like Jimmy Butler's a top 10 player in the NBA last year. He sucks. He's not good this year.
Michael Jordan's kid. Relax.
Chill out, bro. He just has that dog in him only in the playoffs.
Exactly.
And then people are like, he's a top 10 player. Who would you take in the NBA besides Jimmy Butler? Actually, like 20 different players. That's who I would take over him. I don't even know what he's averaging anyway.
He doesn't have the weird hair anymore.
I know. Tell me he isn't the finest WNBA player in the NBA.
Oh my god.
Where is stats? He's averaging 21 points this year.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, if you're like a secondary role player.
Well, no, it's like he's not a superstar. He's not putting up superstar numbers.
He's
He's putting up good numbers.
You can't put up like,
That's more points than you are putting up in the NBA.
yeah, but I don't get paid $50 million a year or whatever
Yeah.
crap he's getting paid. And I also don't get called the top 10, like a top 10 NBA player.
Yeah.
I get called like bottom 10 NBA player and like bottom 10 rec league player. Let's see where he's at on points per game in this league this season. Why is this
So
list?
let's use Command F, bud. Type in Jimmy.
No, I don't need
Butler.
to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you do. You're not like that.
It doesn't work on the site.
Are you kidding me?
You
Yeah.
gotta find Jimothy Butler.
Jimbothy?
It should be right around this range.
Jimbothy butt. Okay, anyway, while there's a lull in conversation, who's at the bottom? The Pistons? So, oh, wait, isn't...
The Pistons should be better than they are. Respect, like that's
Let's see.
is that where the French kid's going?
where Victor. Well, the odds for the draft have changed so much that like it's possible that
Because weren't the Lakers about to give their pick to New Orleans at one
How
point?
is Jimmy Butler not on this list?
What? Anyway. Yeah, so is Zion fat still or no?
Probably. Well, he's probably a little more fit, but let's just keep the bit going.
Okay, so
Zion's
He's
still
so freaking fat.
He's so fat.
But no, he's been playing well. The Pelicans are the 3 seed right now, so like all respect to them. They're playing
don't
well
hype
right
up
now.
Jacob. He's gonna see
No.
this clip and he's gonna be like, "Yeah, I told you guys."
It's a joke. He doesn't actually watch the
That's
podcast.
also
He won't
true.
be able to. He won't know.
That's true.
He'll never know. Yeah,
Dude,
the
Jimmy
Pelicans
Butler
are
isn't on. Jimmy Butler isn't on this list.
Can you just Google it?
No, I'm looking at a point per game list and making my point, but
Okay.
I can't find him. All right, so it turns out we could not find Jimmy Butler's.
That took
points.
way too.
He's
long.
just not on the list at all.
He doesn't exist.
so
I
my
think
point-
he's on the WNBA site now.
But my point still stands. Jimmy Butler shouldn't be getting all that hype. So, with that being said, that's going to be the end of this week in sports. A lot going on in the football world. Devin Booker should be on the MVP list, probably number 2 right now.
World Cup is going crazy.
And the World Cup's going crazy, and we'll update you guys next time about the World Cup. And Till then, make sure you go check out our other content. We have other episodes this week in sports if you're interested. And then we'll see you next time at the Wash Athletes Podcast.
Peace.
Go United States.